previous session, we got together for about an hour and we answered 90 questions. I think Dylan and Lynn were in the back room on the host computer answering as many as they could, and we answered 20 or 30 questions live. So we're going to do that again tonight. If you've got questions, please use the Q&A feature on the bottom of your screen and just type in the question, and we'll get you an answer as quickly as we can. We brought back some panelists tonight to help us answer some questions for you. We'll go ahead and we'll do introductions here in a minute, but again, this is just an effort to reach out to you and allow you another way to reach out to us. And we heard your feedback loud and clear. We last did this about 19 days ago. It was on Wednesday, July 22nd, just about 19 days ago. And we had over 280, I think, participants. And you clearly said, we got your emails, we got your texts, and you clearly said that it was helpful for you. So here we are again. And I'll make the promise to you again tonight that as long as you have questions and as long as this virtual way of communicating works for you, we will come back and we'll do this as long as we have to. It's new for everybody, but it seems to be a really comfortable and convenient way to communicate with you. So our attendee list is still growing. It's starting to approach the 200 number again. So clearly this works for you. So if you attended it last week or 19 days ago and you're joining us tonight, welcome back. If you are new, we'll go over a really quick review of what we talked about last week. It'll be a 2-minute quick review, but that video from last time is posted on our website and you can go back and watch it at any time. We will record tonight's, we are recording tonight's, and we will post it as well. So if you ask us, what can you do to help us? It is A, participate in these when you can, and B, share the information with others. Post it everywhere, talk to your coworkers and tell them to participate in these sessions so that they can A, ask questions, and B, be informed of what's going on. So again, I want to thank you for being here. Again, our participant account is almost at 200, so thank you again for a great turnout. I'm going to quickly go around the room and let the panelists introduce themselves. We'll start at the top left of my screen. Sean, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Jacobson. I am the Executive Director of External Programs for RMC. So I oversee all of our external programs in both our Western and Eastern market. Great to be virtually with you all once again today. Look forward to a productive hour.
Sam, you're up.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Sam Langley, Director of Operations and Logistics. Hope everyone and their families are doing well and look forward to seeing you in the near future.
Chip, it's good to virtually see you, sir. You're up.
Yes, sir. Hey, guys. Happy to be here. Thank you, Dan. I'm an Eastern Region External Division Account Manager, and looking forward to a productive hour as well. Thank you for having me.
Greg receives the Long Distance Award today. Apparently, Angie Stubblefield has allowed Greg to participate while on vacation. So, Greg, thanks for joining us and taking. There's the Angie. How are you? Thanks for joining us tonight, Greg. And Angie, you're up.
Hey, again, Greg Stubblefield, the Regional Director for the Eastern Event Operations. Just glad to be back on here again. We had such a great time a couple weeks ago. I'm glad to see so many attendees back in here again tonight. Just good, even though it's virtual, it's good to have some communication. Glad to see you all in here. So thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Greg. And it's good to see you got your supervisor sitting to your side and make sure you don't do anything dumb. So I'm glad to see you. Thanks, Angie, for watching over Greg tonight. Mark, you're up.
I'm Mark Sartori, Western Region Event Staffing Services Division Director. And unfortunately, I do not have a nice nautical themed background like Greg does.
Well, thanks, Mark. Appreciate you being here. Bob is here with us from the HR department to answer your questions. Bob, you're up.
Thanks, Dan. Bob Kalkovics, Director for Human Resources, and appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thanks, Bob. Mr. Flower, good to see you this evening, sir.
Thanks, Dan. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. Patrick Flower from the Western Region, Senior Account Manager. Glad everyone's on here again, and good to see everyone virtually at least.
All right, BG, you're up, sir.
Hey guys, good to see everybody again. I hope everybody knows me. If not, I'm BG, and I help a little bit with every department whenever they need it. And I can't wait to see you guys again. And I know everybody's wearing face masks now, but you can still look people in the eye, be engaging. And I miss y'all, love y'all. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks again for everybody for being here. Our total participant count is still growing, and it's up over 200. It's 214 right now. So again, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna go through a few things. We'll answer a few questions, and then one of the agenda items we have for you tonight is we want to talk a little bit about what you're going to see coming out of this with regard to some COVID policy updates, what you can expect with face coverings, what you can expect with temperature checks. If you are affected, or if someone in an organization is affected by COVID, what is our policy on when they can come back to work? And what are we doing to protect you when you return to the job site by making sure that your coworkers are adhering to a healthy employee health and wellness work environment? So again, we'll cover some of that stuff today, but again, most important thing we can do today is answer your questions and use the Q&A tab. I see questions are rolling in. We'll get to a couple of those in a second. Our goals for this evening are, again, to open up this line of communication with you so that you feel comfortable and have an avenue to ask us some questions on a regular basis. Again, as I mentioned, we were here 19 days ago with over 200 event staff members. And here we are less than 3 weeks later, and we've got 200 more logged in. So clearly you're telling us that you want to do this. We'll do it again as long as you need it to. Second thing we want to do tonight is to provide you with those COVID updates I just mentioned. We want to go over and make sure that you have an advanced look at what's coming forward as we release our COVID updates. In the near weeks, in the coming weeks, you're going to get an email with our 2020 employee handbook update. And this COVID policy is going to be the largest piece, really the main piece of the change. And it's going to be in the appendix in the back, but you're going to get an advanced look at it tonight. And then lastly, we want to cover some Q&A stuff with you. We want to talk about some opportunities for you to earn dollars. We know you're watching the news. We know that you see the CAA football season cancel. We know you heard JMU football start to cancel and look at spring. We know that you're thinking about these things, and we want to come back to you again tonight. That's why Sean is here. That's why Mark and Patrick are here. That's why Chip's here. Greg's here. We want to make sure that you know there are hours and earning opportunities that we are protecting for you in the external division programs during this time. These guys on this screen are working really, really hard, making sure that every opportunity, if you want hours, these guys are going to work to get you those hours. So we're going to make sure we cover that tonight. Quickly, if you weren't with us last time we met, here are the topics we cover. We're not going to go over them again, but this is what you missed. And if you didn't see it, go back and watch our video. We talked about scheduling, and if you were scheduled for a fall event, what happens when events start canceling? Greg and Patrick and Mark gave a really good rundown about that, and we talked about that. We talked about renewing your DCJS license. We've been calling you if you're going to expire in June, July, August, September, October. Make sure you keep your license up to date so you don't have to do the full 18-hour class again. It's really important. Number 3, we talked about our front offices. All of our offices, the 2 here in Mechanicsville, our Charlottesville ones, they are still closed to the public for both your safety and the safety of our front office members. We're doing a lot this way, a lot virtually, a lot via phone and email. Our offices remain closed to the public. Number 4, we talked about upcoming PPE requirements, and that in the near future, we said face coverings are probably going to be required. Or you're going to hear tonight how they are required and what to expect with regard to that, and temperature checks, and so on and so forth. We talked about industry news. Remember that night? That was the night the state fair canceled. The same night we had this webinar 19 days ago. So we talked about industry news. We talked about earning opportunities in the external division, how you can make money, and we'll do that again tonight. And then we answered nearly 90 questions. In an hour and 5 minutes, we answered 20 to 30 questions live and another 60 or 70 in the background. So keep those questions coming. So before we get started, is there anything I missed from the panel? Anything that you want to say before we get into the COVID protocol? Anybody got anything? You all good? All right, so let's roll into the COVID protocol, but really quickly, let's answer a couple questions. I see you know what? How cool is it? The first question that popped up is a family question. So the first question we got today from clearly a Western staff member is this: is Justin Dillon still with us? Sure hope so. Well, when you say, is he with us? He is alive. Let's just say that. Justin is still with us. Now, Justin has taken some time off. As you all know, the Dillon family has welcomed 2 new additions to their household. And Justin has taken some really well-deserved time with his family. Now, as we return to events, my guess, our understanding is that Justin's going to continue to spend time with his family, but he is eager to see you at events again. He will be working events with us again when we get going again, but on a regular full-time in the office basis, probably see a lot less of the hours on Justin's behalf. We will miss him more than you know, but we're thankful that he is not going away from us altogether, and he'll be working with us on nights and weekends and events. So if you see Justin, send him a text, send him an email, welcome his 2 new additions. Him and the family are doing great. We talk to him on a regular basis. I got a picture of a really large fish he just caught a few days ago, and he was proud of that fish, almost as proud as he is of those 2 new additions to his family. So if you get a chance, send Justin a text, tell him we said hi. He might even be logged in tonight. I'll bet you Bobby is. So we give our best to the Dillon family. So another good question from Cheryl Wink. Cheryl, a great question. If you previously scheduled on September 12th and October 3rd as premier dates, will there be new premier dates? I want to answer this question in a couple ways. One, I wish those events had held in there for you. We were really looking forward to paying that 1.25 multiplier on those premium dates for you because of these months that you've gone without earnings. As you know, these events on those days are starting to fall apart. I look forward to announcing more premier dates. One thing I heard about the premier dates was our staff members said thank you. For the ones that work on those dates, they said thank you for the bonus. I was going to work on those days anyway, but if you'd like to pay me 1.25% times my rate, a 25% bump, then I appreciate it. Other staff members said, you know what? That makes the difference for me. And you know what? If you want me to come out and bust it on a Saturday, I'll do it with you. But thank you for that rate. So we look forward to initiating some more premier dates, especially if you can imagine. I think the spring is lining up to be one heck of a spring. So I would foresee that premier dates would continue, hopefully in the spring, but certainly it's something we'll continue in the fall. So great question, and thank you for bringing that up. All right, really quickly, let's get into the COVID policy a little bit because there have been some updates that we want to share with you. The biggest thing you need to realize is this. On May 28th, way early on in this, we created a document called our SAFE document. It was our staffing assurances for facilities and events document. Dylan's bringing it up on the screen right now so you can see it. Basically what this is, it's a document we created in May. We shared it industry-wide in the Commonwealth. Over 170 venues and event leaders in the Commonwealth took and stole our document with our permission. And this was our assurance to our guests and our employees of how we plan to protect them in a back-to-work re-engagement scenario. So as you can see on this document, the first page is a summary of why we did it and what we're doing. But clearly the next page there goes into an executive summary, and it talks about our protocol initiatives with PPE, with hygiene, and with cleanliness and contact with service. It talks about our training and curriculum, and then it talks about our on-site precautionary health and wellness program. So again, remember, we wrote this in the beginning of May. We shared it with the industry, and then we went into detail in this document. The following pages all talk about how we're going to roll it out and what we're going to do to keep our employees safe. So that was in May, and we've been ready to re-engage since then, and this document has been vetted out in detail across the Commonwealth and utilized in ODU's arenas plans, Dominion Energy Classic, UVA's, VCU's. Everybody has used this document and took pieces of it for their protocol, so we're proud of it. With that said, in late July, you might have heard that the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry came out with their standards, their regulations of what employers must do to keep their employees safe. Well, we read that document. It's right here. We read it in depth, every single page, and highlighted it line by line. And it turns out our SAFE document was 95% it. Everything was already there. So what we did is we took our SAFE document and we created this. This COVID overall specific RMC guideline employee health and wellness document encapsulates our SAFE document and what the state has now required as a part to their emergency action by Virginia Code. It is Virginia Code 16 VAC 25-220. And they laid out in 35 pages what we are responsible to do as a collective group and industry in the Commonwealth. We were already there, we tweaked it a little bit, and we came up with this document. This document will be emailed as a part of our 2020 employee manual to you by the end of this month. When you get that, please acknowledge receipt and just email that back. It'll come digitally, so you just do it with your phone, and we'll get this out to you before the end of August. I want to quickly review some of the highlights of this document so that you all participating on this call tonight can have an advance notice, advance look before the rest of our staff get it. On page 1, it talks about our training and curriculum. The top 10 on the top there were the ones we already had in our protocol. And then the remaining 8 highlights specifically what this new Virginia Emergency Action Code calls for us to train on. You will see this in our renewal classes. You'll see it in all of our classes from now on, and you'll see it throughout this document to ensure that we share the information with you that the Commonwealth has asked. If you flip to page 2, this is where it begins to get in more detail. The Commonwealth has required health checks before you arrive to work. This is to keep not only our guests safe, but quite frankly, it's to keep you safe and ensure that all of our employees are adhering to a health protocol so that you know you're working in the most safe environment that we could possibly provide. So what is required of you? Simple. Before you come to work, every day you're scheduled to work, you are asked and required now by the Commonwealth of Virginia to complete a health monitor and pre-check. So that means that we ask you to take your temperature and monitor for symptoms before you come to work. It's a symptom check and an exposure check. If you have a cough, shortness of breath, a fever over 100.4, the Commonwealth of Virginia now and RMC events requires you not to come to work if you're exhibiting symptoms. So when you take your temperature and you do a symptom check, your work, no work protocol is come to work if your temperature is below 100.4 and or you're not exhibiting symptoms, please come to work. If you have been exposed to someone who has tested positive, please note the Commonwealth of Virginia does not require that you don't come to work for that, but we are requiring you to tell us so that we can monitor that and be careful. Again, if your symptoms are there or if you have a fever over 100.4, it's a no work protocol. A couple quick things about that. You may be asked to verify those results upon arrival. We may take your temperature again upon arrival to an event. If you worked the Kickers game in Richmond this past Saturday, we took your temperature on arrival. It is for the safety of our employees and guests on that site. Remember, a work, no work protocol decision may be made by you or it may be made by us if you're exhibiting symptoms. Any employee receiving a positive COVID test is required to notify us immediately upon result, and then you'll enter our COVID protocol and we'll go over how you return to work in a minute. And finally, per Virginia guidelines, per this new act, this new law, we are offered the right, RMC Events has the right, to prohibit any staff member suspected of being infected with COVID from reporting to or remaining at work. So keep that in mind on the work, no work protocol. It's coming in this document. When you arrive to work, I would expect to be asked if you did your self-health check. Do you have a temperature over 100.4? Do you have any symptoms? If you answer no to all that, you might get a temperature check and you'll be good to go to work. Please note, you may be asked these screening questions at any time, anywhere, per this new Virginia Emergency Code. You can be asked these screening questions and you can have your temperature taken at any point in time at work. Failure to answer the questions, failure to pre-screen, or a failure of the test with a temperature, or a refusal to take the test, the Virginia Code requires us to not allow you to work. Folks, look, they're serious about maintaining the safety of your work environment. And if it means that we're going to take temperatures a few times and ask you some questions, we're going to do it to keep you safe. Moving on to page 3 of this document, health and safety while you're at work. Before work, make sure you're practicing good hygiene, wash your hands, stay safe, wear your face coverings. At work, we're going to ask you to do the same. And you have an opportunity, go wash your hands. If you have a pocket and you're carrying hand sanitizer with you, please use it all you like. Physical distancing and physical contacting is a part of our plan. We're going to ask you to maintain 6 feet when you can. Everybody that has ever worked an event with us knows you can't do everything in your job outside of 6 feet, which is why we have face coverings and why we have these extra protocols. Physical contact, high five, sorry BG, no high fives, no hugging, no handshaking, no non-essential contact during these times. Let's talk about PPE for a second to make sure it's really clear. You're probably all using it now. I carry mine everywhere we go. It's in my back pocket and I have it all the time with me. You probably are doing the same. As expected, face coverings are now required and they are part of your uniform for a reason. We want you to be able to provide a face covering for yourself that is comfortable and that you feel most safe and comfortable with. If you don't have one, or if you need us to provide one to you, we can provide you a disposable one here and there. And Sam's Ops and Logistics, they went out and they bought hundreds of just generic black ones at $2 a piece, and you're welcome to them. But please understand, we'd prefer that you just bring your own because we know you're comfortable with it. We know that you know it fits you, and we know you'll have it with you. So make sure that you're providing it. It's part of your uniform, just like your ID badge, just like your flashlight. Here are a few things to note about face coverings. They can either be a mask ear loop style where it goes around your nose and mouth and loops around your ears, or it can be a gator style where you have it around your neck and you pull it up above your nose and your mouth. It must be neutral in color. Notice mine is just black. No words, no logo, no nothing. It's neutral in color. And it cannot have a logo, can't have wording, can't have verbiage, can't say anything on it unless it says RMC events on it, or it has the appropriate logo of where you're working. For example, if you're working a basketball game in JPJ and you want to wear one that has a Virginia logo on it, great. An RMC logo on it, great. If you're in the Siegel Center and you want to wear a VCU one, terrific. You can't cross logo. You can't wear a VCU one at a Richmond game or a UVA game. It has to be logo specific. If you have questions, please ask in advance so we can get it out and get it detailed for you. And finally, it must be worn properly. It has to cover your nose and your mouth in all public facing and visible areas. Here's a question we're going to get and a question I want to answer now. If you have a medical reason for not wearing a face covering, we have a protocol for this and it's been vetted through the state and approved. And here it is. If you have a medical reason for not wearing a face covering, you simply email hr@rmcevents.com and provide supporting medical documentation. Once you provide that, you will get acknowledgement from HR and you'll receive a letter of approval to not wear a face covering. You must carry that letter of approval with you at every job site, either the piece of paper stuck in your, folded up in your ID badge holder, or take a picture of it and maintain it on your phone, because the event manager is going to need to know that you've received this approval. Remember, when you talk to the HR department and you get a medical waiver for something, it's private. We don't share that information across all mechanisms. So that letter of approval is your proof to the event manager and supervisor on site that you have medical clearance from RMC events to not wear a face covering. You have one more responsibility with that. We know you're going to get asked questions. Someone's going to walk up to you, a guest or a client or a coworker even, and say, hey, how come you don't have to wear a mask and I do? You are required to do the following. Simply and politely state that you have received a medical exemption from RMC events, and that's it. Direct any other questions to your supervisor or account manager on site. Employees, you are not required, nor should you feel compelled to disclose any personal medical information or anything else other than that. That is the best we can do to protect you. You simply state, I've received a medical exemption from RMC events, and if you have any other questions, you can speak with the manager on site here today. Moving on to gloves, if they are required, we'll provide them for you. If you feel comfortable wearing gloves and you want to wear them on your own, great. Same rules apply, neutral in color, and please avoid latex as there's some allergy concerns with latex. Use the nitrile style. All right, let's move into return to work. There are 2 return to work protocols you should be aware of. First is symptomatic, and the second is asymptomatic. And again, these are straight out of the Virginia Emergency Code that was released last week. 1, if you have received a positive COVID test, or you are showing symptoms of COVID-19, you may return to work when you meet 3 qualifications. The first one, you have to go 3 days symptom-free, 72 hours, 3 days symptom-free, without fever-reducing medications and an improvement in your respiratory systems, cough, shortness of breath, etc. Number 1. Number 2, you have to go 10 days since your symptoms first appeared. And number 3, when you've met those qualifications, you have to email HR@rmcevents.com. You'll receive acknowledgement of those of you meeting those 2 requirements, and you'll receive your back to work authorization. So again, 3 days symptom free without medication, and 10 days since your symptoms started. That's if you receive a positive COVID test or symptoms of COVID, or symptoms of COVID. If you have received a positive test result, but remain asymptomatic, you never show symptoms, you only need to meet 2 requirements to come back to work. Those are, you have to go 10 days from your positive test result, never experiencing symptoms, and you're good to go. Second thing you do is you email HR@rmcevents.com. You'll get an acknowledgement receipt and your work authorization. So if you receive a positive test and you're symptomatic, you have 3 requirements. If you receive a positive test and you're asymptomatic, you have 2. Note, you have no return to work protocol if you simply have been exposed to a possible case and you're asymptomatic. You're not required to test. You're not required to stay out of work. If you test and it is positive, you will enter the protocol on either symptomatic or asymptomatic. And that's how you return to work. Again, any questions on that, let us know and we'll answer them for you. Here's what we'll do to protect you. On the bottom of page 5, we have some rules that we have to abide by with regard to notification and contact tracing. Anytime that we receive notification of a positive COVID test, we will do the following to protect you. Number 1, we will notify all employees that may have been exposed within 14 days of that test result. So if employee A emails us and said, I tested positive yesterday, we will go back and trace where employee A was for 14 days, and we will contact you if you were within the vicinity of that employee within those 14 days. Please note, we will not release any private information. We won't name the individual. We will simply say an employee has tested positive and you have worked with that employee on so-and-so days at so-and-so location so that you are aware. No action is required on your part. If you develop symptoms, then you should go get tested and enter the protocol that way. However, we will notify you of a 14-day contact tracing check to keep you informed. Number 2, we have to notify other employers. So if this was in the JPJ, we have to notify SMG, NUVA, and Pritchard, and any other employers that were in the building, including the building and facility owner. We will notify the Virginia Department of Health. We will notify the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry if we have 3 or more cases within 14 days. And we will always maintain the confidential nature of our employees' identity. That's what we will do to help protect you. In closing, this Virginia code has placed 4 categories of risk: very high risk, medium risk, and low risk. We fall in the category of medium risk. Here's the definition of where Virginia has placed our industry. Medium risk, on page 9 of their code, says this industry requires more than minimal occupational contact inside of 6 feet with other employees, other persons, and the general public. For example, they are defining us by saying it is possible that a person is going to come within 6 feet of another person in this environment. Therefore, we deem it medium risk. Low risk would be like a call center or teleworking from home. High risk would be working in a hospital. Extremely high risk is working in intubation and where aspiration is in the air of possible disease. Within the medium risk category, they defined us as, quote, on-campus educational settings in schools, colleges, and universities, or venues for sports, entertainment, movies, theaters, and other forms of mass gatherings. Please note, we are in the same category with medium risk as drugstores, pharmacies, convenience stores, daycares, grocery stores, detention centers, call centers, veterinary settings, personal care, personal grooming, salons, and spas. So that's where they placed us, and that's how our protocols were written. In closing, we are only a piece of this equation. We need you to assist us. Wear your face coverings. Try to maintain physical distancing. No physical, non-essential contact. Do your part. And quite frankly, if you feel ill, stay out of work. Stay home and make sure you're doing your testing. We will test you. We're going to take your temperature. We're going to ask you questions. Please note, we're not testing you and we're not doing all these things. We might test you 3 times over the course of a 5-hour event. We're not doing it to annoy you. We're doing it to keep you and your coworkers safe in our event setting to the best of our ability. And lastly, we know that some of these could be temporary. We know some of these could be long-term and permanent. We're committed to monitoring, reviewing, and evaluating along this entire road and making adjustments for you along the way. And then finally, we'll communicate it to you, not only in this mechanism, but in every mechanism way we can. So on that note, we'll move into some questions really briefly. Mark and Patrick, anything I missed from the Western region or anything particular in that relates just to Western?
I think you did a good job of covering all the points there, Dan.
Patrick, you good?
Yes, agreed with Mark on that.
Greg, anything from the East you can talk about, or do you want to mention really briefly how the kickers went this Saturday? How many staff were there and what we did?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the Eastern region specific, I don't believe there's anything specific necessarily from what you just mentioned. But so yeah, kickers gave us a good opportunity to put this plan into place this past Saturday. We had roughly 40 to 44 staff, I believe, at kickers. So a very good number for an event for this. But event went very well. Staff showed up with their face coverings. They had temperature checks. And we had staff, of course, checking patrons throughout the venue all night long to make sure that they were wearing their face coverings. I talked to Dan about this a little bit. And as we'll see at probably a lot of different events, the issue with keeping those face coverings on, we, of course, run into some things with that with fans. It's kind of a tricky situation when you're eating and drinking. You don't have to wear them. But at what point, when you're done eating and drinking, you still have a cup in your hand, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of gray area there as to when you can not wear them. But of course, there's both sides of the fence with that, with folks thinking we were too strict and some thinking we weren't being strict enough. So we had a lot of help with the kickers organization with that, and it's all going to be a work in progress, I think, for the event world as more of this starts to happen and kind of how we pursue pressing that issue.
Yeah, you know, the kickers were one of our first large events really since we got started again. And I got an email today from an employee who was there. I want to share it, but I want to also say thanks to Greg and Sam and Rich for making sure this first event, look, we were really, really careful this first event. And I have a feeling that that'll propel us to be like this at every event. But here's an email we got from an employee who was working that day. It said, "Good afternoon, Dan. I want to reach out to you and touch base about the kickers game this past Saturday. This was the first RMC event that I've worked since COVID-19 started in March. One word, wow. Rich was there the entire time working side by side with us. And as a leader, he didn't just tell us what to do. Instead, he was right there beside us modeling what to do. Melissa, Mike, and Kelly were amazing with all of the what ifs going into the game. It was great to have the RMC Kickers family back together. And he was even better feeling comfortable with all the precautions put in place by the kickers and by RMC. I wanted to share a positive note for your Monday. So, Greg, thank you very much for your work in that regard. And Rich, thank you for all your good efforts. I think you're on this call, so thanks for all your efforts there. And thanks for the note from the staff members that works. Good to hear. So it's new, right? It's going to be different. And we want to make sure that you are anticipating that there's going to be some challenges and changes to how we do our job, but clearly we're off to the right start. As we get into questions, I want to rapid fire a couple that have been answered behind the scenes to make sure that everybody understands. One, somebody said, hey, I want to work in the external division. I'm not interested in switching over full time, but I am happy to commit to 2 shifts or more a week. Will that still be available? And the answer is yes. You're going to hear about it soon. Chip is going to be talking about it pretty soon here. Chip and Sean are going to talk about what to do, and Mark with that pretty shortly. Next question is, can you print out your self-health check? Sure you can, but you don't have to. What if symptoms happen while I'm on shift? What if I come to work and I pass and then symptoms come on at shift? And Bob answered that one really well. Make sure you let your supervisor know immediately so that you can go through the protocol. We'll take a thermal check and then we'll either keep you or send you home, whatever is necessary. Are face shields okay with my mask? Of course they are. Can you put the contact info of how to get logo masks from D again? So D's doing a great job with these masks. If you're on Facebook, go to RMC Peeps. I think that's a good way to do it. Or email Patrick, Mark, or Greg, and we'll get you in touch with D to get a RMC Events face cover. So I understand face masks are required to be part of your uniform, but is it mandatory for an RMC employee even if the event is outside? Yes, it is. Are masks required outside? Yes. So those are some questions that we got. Will you provide us with face shields? No. A face covering, face shield, all on your own. We have some disposable ones in an emergency, and Sam's department has some black, just generic black ones if you need it. I think they're $2, but we prefer that you bring your own for comfort. And then, of course, we answered the other one. So some really quick questions that came in. Let's go into some more. Are there any other information on fans at the September NASCAR race? And are we staffing the additional race dates that were done before? So Greg has been in daily contact with our folks at NASCAR. They are trying everything they can to race with fans. They're asking the Commonwealth of Virginia to allow them to bring 5,000, 8,000 fans. Note their stadium holds 60,000. So even 5,000 is not a lot. They're working through that. We're hopeful that they'll receive permission, but if they don't, they'll have to be regulated to abide by the 1,000 person limit. The next update is, do we know when the Hampton Coliseum will reopen? Greg, I'll let you take a quick stab at that. I'll answer it after that, but I don't think we've heard anything specific from Hampton. Is that right?
That's correct. No specific opening date that I'm aware of at this time.
So I know they're doing outdoor drive-in movies down there, but I can tell you I don't see the Hampton Coliseum opening while the requirement is still 1,000 fans. It's just not economical, as you can imagine. So the next question was, when will we receive our schedule for the jobs we signed up for? Why don't we, because I don't know if this is Eastern or Western, why don't we take a Western shot at it? And Mark and Patrick, can you talk about StaffMate and what's happening as events get canceled and how staff get notified in the West?
Sure, definitely discuss StaffMate. As most of the staff in the Western region are aware, some new staff might not be fully comfortable with StaffMate just yet. But for those of you that have experience with it, you understand that it's a live staffing system. So as you sign up for an event, you get confirmed, you're all good to go, you're set to work it. Now, when an event gets canceled, what we typically do is we'll send out a notification to you. That's via email through StaffMate, letting you know that this event has been canceled, and you will receive a notification that you've been removed from your shift. At that point, we go in and we delete the shift, and you get that notification directly from StaffMate. Now, we have gone through this past few days. Patrick has been working furiously with StaffMate, going through all the events that have gotten canceled in the last week, right? So you should have gotten a lot of emails if you've been signed up for a bunch of events notifying you that those shifts are no longer available. Anything I left out, Patrick?
No, that was a good summary of it. Certainly, if anyone has questions, feel free to reach out to Mark or myself, and we can certainly walk you through it, especially any new staff that are on this call that might not have used StaffMate much. Just give us a call, and we can certainly walk you through everything. But that was a good summary of the sign up and removal process.
Greg, anything particular in the East?
Yeah, so for the Eastern, I'm not sure. I know part of the question might be if you have not received your September and October back, if you're speaking one of those months and you're in the East, if you returned your schedule in on time, you should have received your confirmation already for September and October. However, if you submitted your schedule late at this point in time, I think we mentioned it, may have mentioned it, or going to mention it on the Barricade, but just some different options there. If you submitted your schedule late, we have actually held on returning any confirmations for late schedules at this point. Just simply as we await everything that we will have for the fall. So those will coming later as we get events possibly. And as we mentioned before in the previous meeting, any event that you're scheduled for so far in September and October that has been canceled, we will send that out list again. We'll continue updating that with extra postponements and cancellations, but we're still asking staff to hold those dates as of now, just in the event that we have something else for that day that we can put you in line for. So again, we'll keep you updated as we get those through with a compiled list of current cancellations and postponements.
All right, thank you guys for answering that. So the next question is a really good one. How do you handle a worker, an RMC events worker, who has shown symptoms of COVID-19 upon arrival to an event who may have traveled via RMC transportation? We discussed this a bunch in our meetings, and we've decided that we're going to do our screening prior to departure. So if we're heading to William & Mary, if we're heading to JMU, if we're heading out of town from any one of our markets, your self-check needs to be done that morning, and your health screening check will be done before you board the vehicle to go. It's the only way we can ensure that. Of course, if you're on site and then you get sick, we'll treat it like we always have. If you've been on site and get sick, we'll figure out a way to get you back. But we're going to do our COVID testing prior to departure, prior to boarding the vehicle itself. So good question. The next question is another great one. What are the protocols for a non-RMC employee, such as Aramark staff, letting us know if they have any positive employees, and how will they track their employees in relation to us? So what we just talked about with our product protocol comes specifically from this Commonwealth of Virginia requirement. By law, Aramark and every other business is required to adhere to these same protocols. Now, I can assure you of this. We will be as buttoned up as they come with our reporting notifications, and we hope and trust our partners in these buildings will be the same. They are required to notify us within 24 hours if they are notified of a positive exposure. They have to tell us, and they have to tell us when that employee worked in those 14 days so that we can then contact trace backwards. So they are required to meet the same merit that we are. The next question is a happy one, I guess. It's I'm hearing the same thing as you. I'm hearing the ACC is still planning to play football. We are watching it, and we are hearing the same. What are you hearing about UVA football and other divisions in the fall? Look, every day I wake up, it's new, right? So Greg and I were talking an hour ago. We think the Big Ten folded, but who knows? And we know the Power 5 conferences are debating what to do, and certainly we've all seen the news reports that the ACC and the SEC still want to play. And look, let's face it, their protocols are good, and their presidents get to make their decisions. So right now, we got a UVA game on what, Patrick? September 9/11 against VMI, right?
Right.
If any of you were to call me tomorrow, or if we were to hop on this call at noon tomorrow, I don't know if the world will change again. I know that FBS schools, the MAC and others are starting to cancel. And you saw JMU today say enough's enough, we'll head to the spring. I don't know. You're right, they're still planning on it, but I don't know the answer to that other than let's see what tomorrow's news cycle brings.
Dan, can I take a moment now to talk about UVA football?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so as Dan touched on, you know, the ACC schedule, we're not really sure what's going to happen, but one thing we do know is that the original UVA football schedule that we gave you and that you signed up for back in June, or back in, was it in June that we did it, Patrick? Or was it back in May? But it was a way back, right? That original schedule is no longer correct. They've rearranged the dates. 2 of the dates remain the same. So if you go into StaffMate and see that you were signed up for those 2 dates, October 31st and November 7th, they are still set. You are still confirmed for those shifts. The other 4 dates all changed. So if you were confirmed for any of those other 4 dates, we have sent you a notification letting you know that that shift is going to get canceled, and then you got the notification from StaffMate letting you know that you're no longer on that shift. As such, then we went and we've put the new game dates on StaffMate, and they are available for sign up now. In fact, I checked earlier today, and you know, we had people at one point. We had 70 people signed up for each game, and that was only a few hours after Patrick had made them available to you. So with that said, please go into StaffMate, look at the UVA football dates, the new ones, and sign up. And we've made them available to Harrisonburg for travel as well.
All right, thanks, Mark. Hey, reviewing a couple rapid fire ones again that were answered behind the scenes. Our folks behind the curtain over there are doing a great job. Someone said, I am at high risk and I cannot work during this time. How do I, what should I do? And the answer was posted. Please contact HR@rmcevents.com so that we can note you on leave during this time. Is the equipment we are provided at an event being sterilized and cleaned prior to each shift, specifically maybe parking vests and those types of things? Sean answered it exactly right. We are cleaning and sanitizing it. Sam, I don't know if you want to mention anything particular about equipment and how we'll clean and sanitize after each event.
Basically what we've done is the sanitizing is done with what is known as a spray and go. And basically we spray them when they come back. It just sits on the surface, and in 3 to 5 minutes, supposedly it will kill 99.9% of the junk.
Yeah, and as you all know, a lot of times, like let's say the state fair, we might have vests at the state fair that we utilize for multiple days. If equipment comes back from an event, it will not go out to another event until it's clean, sanitized. So in the case of vests, they'll get laundered. In the case of radios and handheld equipment, they'll get sanitized, like Sam just said. So we'll make sure that we're hitting all those. Those are actually easy marks for us to hit. We'll make sure that we're hitting those for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely wiping down the radios and stuff when they come back in, Dan.
So a good question by a staff member. If a staff member who is unable to wear a face covering due to medical reasons, will they be required to maintain 6-foot distance from others, including fellow employees? The requirement of 6-foot distance is hard. So I would say our account managers would take a couple precautions in this regard. Number one, if you're not wearing a face covering and you are working an event for a medical reason, we may post you in a place that is non-public facing. And the reason for that is public could have concerns over that do not have anything to do with your medical rationale. You will still work the event and you'll still be paid appropriately for the event, but it is possible that you may be posted in a place that is either not public facing or not necessarily in an environment where 6-foot distancing would be hard for you to maintain. The other honest answer to that is a staff member that is working without a face covering due to medical reasons has to be allowed to work the event and would be asked to maintain physical distancing, but I don't think it's possible to prohibit distancing at every single step, every single motion. I would also anticipate, and our staff should know this, we're going to be challenged by our clients and guests that they are going to tell us. Some have already tried. Some clients have already tried to say, if one of your staff members is not wearing a face covering, they can't work at our event. And we have explained to them that legally they can, and we will be sending them. However, please know, we will do everything we can with positioning to make it as least uncomfortable for both our staff member and the guest and the client, and quite frankly, the staff members' coworkers. Please know, if you are not wearing a face covering for medical reasons, it's okay. It is, I understand. But please know you have coworkers who might be concerned about it, and we have to worry about them as well. So we will do the best we can to ensure that you're in the work environment and you're getting the hours there, but we also have to ensure everyone's comfort and peace of mind around those situations. So really good question here. Follow-up question to the pre-boarding of the testing for a travel event. It says, who must be present for pre-boarding and testing? We have initiated a safety officer protocol whereby a supervisor may be doing the testing, an account manager may be doing the testing. Greg, I think this weekend you designated one staff member who had a go bag of safety equipment, masks and gloves and a temperature check, and that person was responsible. Is that right?
That's correct. So at each event, say for the kickers, Rich designated a safety officer who had that bag of equipment with them in the event that we had to use any of those items that's inside, which is packed with gloves, face coverings, sanitizer, things of that nature that may be used. A good example, especially for travel events, as you mentioned, this week we are sending a van or so up to William and Mary for a move-in with some staff on it. So that supervisor will be giving that supply to do all the pre-event COVID testing prior to getting onto the van. So I've made communication with that supervisor. They'll be doing the testing prior to them getting on the van, with temperature checks and asking the questions, those kind of things, and make sure everyone has face coverings before getting onto the van.
Gotcha. Another question came in about a college basketball game and the vests that are issued. Again, will they be cleaned after every event? The answer there is absolutely they will be. A question came in about the type of behaviors we're seeing with regard to alcohol-intensive events. So college students at football games and beer gardens. Right now, those events are not occurring. When the limits get to be larger, certainly PPE will be required, and then we'll have to see what the physical contact and physical distancing guidelines are like. There is no way to have a beer garden and maintain 6-foot distancing. So our clients are going to have to make those decisions. And quite frankly, I don't see those types of environments continuing for the near term. Next question is September 11th at NASCAR, the Xfinity, Shift B, Shift C, Shift A. They are still on. Right now, the NASCAR shifts in Richmond are still on. They are racing additional days. We will probably only be required to work on the Saturday race. That's the only one they're talking about having fans at. It really will depend how many fans are permitted on how many staff we will need. I will tell you that even at best, there's going to be 5,000 to 8,000 fans there. More than likely, it probably will be 1,000 to 3,000 fans. So the staff numbers will be less, but right now they are still on. The question about Eastern Division events that have been canceled, will you be receiving anything? Greg answered it a minute ago, but again, if you've been scheduled for something in September, October, you know, just by watching the news, what's been canceled, what hasn't, but you'll get emails will come out to that effect. Greg, do you have any timeline in mind for that?
Yeah, so we plan on sending out another email again this week with just the updated cancellation list for postponements. And basically what I'm doing for everyone that's signed up is we're basically going to the download for September and October. So every event that was on paper will certainly be on that list of if they are canceled or not. There's well some other lists that may not have made their calendars, but we will have that update out to you again this week.
Gotcha. The last one in the queue before we move on to earning opportunities is Mark or Patrick. Can you go into the answer this question? I think it's a Western staff member who the event was scheduled and held, and the person was approved and then removed. Can you answer that one on a typed answer and about how determinations are made? I don't know an event, or Greg, do you know? Do we have an event where we've cut staff from in the last month? I can't imagine one that we've had the event and cut staff.
No, nothing, because the events as of now, those calendars were not put out for the Eastern region. So we didn't have any schedules for July, August. They would have gone out on the Eastern. I don't know if Mark had anything on the Western side as far as staff made, but nothing in the Eastern was actually out on the schedule for us to actually take staff off of at this point.
we haven't canceled any staff from shifts unless we were canceling the entire shift. The only one I could think possibility might be one of the external support ones where the post was no longer needed. That's the only thing I could think of. But
I would say this, for the person's name isn't on here, but if you email the account manager in the region, email Mark or Patrick in the West, email Greg in the East, and we can hopefully get a more specific answer for you to help you out. So at this time, while Q&A keeps logging in, and if you have questions, throw them in here. I don't want to waste any more time for folks who are here for earning opportunities. And Sean, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of go East or West, but I don't know if you want to handle Chip and Greg in the East and then Mark and Patrick in the Flower, if there's a different conversation, but please take it away. But folks, if you're dialed in right now, this is really important. These opportunities for you to earn dollars, these folks on this screen are protecting, they're like laying over jobs for you and holding them. So if you want hours and earning opportunities, please pay attention to what Chip and Greg in the East have to say and Mark and Patrick in the West as Sean takes us through how you can earn dollars in the external division right now. So Sean, go ahead and handle it however you'd like.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Just a couple things before I turn it over to those guys to talk specifically about their areas. Just like we spoke last time, there are tons of opportunities in our Eastern and Western external division right now for our event family to work. We have specifically not hired any new members to our external family since COVID started. We canceled a class we were supposed to have, and we haven't brought anybody new on board. The reasoning is simple for us. We want to give hours to our family members that want them, that can utilize them right now. Just for some perspective, in our Eastern external division right now, we are getting support of the level of about 45% daily for all of our total needs. That means of the 100 and some staff we need every single day to work, about 45 to 50 folks are coming from our event division. So much thanks to the folks that have worked already in the Eastern division. And if you haven't, I highly encourage you to get involved. Chip's going to go over some ways you can do that. But keep in mind, in the Eastern division, we also have some other things coming online soon that we're going to need some additional help for. We got the University of Richmond that's starting back soon. We have a new facility that's starting the middle of the month. We have a lot of opportunities. In our Western division, we have opportunities with our ambassador program, with our Safe Ride program, and with our garages. With UVA slated to return, albeit 2 weeks later, by the end of August, all of our programs will be back online again. So there's a lot of need within our division. So the support we could use is great from the event division. So if you're interested in hours, we have a couple different ways you can do it. It's pretty much the same, whether it's Eastern or Western. If you are looking for a full-time job, if your personal life has changed professionally and you now need a full-time job, we are hiring full-time folks internally. We're not hiring any external folks to the company, but any internal folks that are interested in a full-time position with our company that is benefited, which includes medical and dental healthcare, and also paid time off. I highly encourage you to talk to your regional manager. If you are looking for a regular fixed part-time schedule where you can commit to the same days and same hours every single week, we'd love to talk to you. We have shifts 24 hours a day. So if you're a morning person, evening person, overnight person, we have areas that we can use help. We also have a lot of different jobs with varying requirements for that job. If you're an outside person, you love being outside. Let's say you're a Charlottesville parking person and you just love working outside, we have positions outside. If you prefer to be inside, working behind a desk, a little more stationary, we have those positions available as well. I encourage you as we progress through the fall, we know it's not going to be a normal fall. We know that. The good thing is we do have some hours in external that we can help out, but I encourage you to think outside the box a little bit, stretch yourself a little bit, get outside your comfort zone. We are doing things now in external that we weren't doing a couple months ago. Some of our job descriptions have changed and they continue to change. The good thing is we're looked upon by our clients to be part of the solution to the COVID crisis management, which is a pretty awesome thing to be part of. Our collective responsibilities in these programs are pretty deep. So we're helping out immensely, and we would love to have some more folks join the team. So whether it's full-time capacity, part-time capacity, fixed schedule, or you just want to throw your name in the hat that you're available a couple days a month, we'd love to talk to you. Chip, I know you got some cool announcements that came about today in our Eastern External Division. If you want to share them now, it'd be great.
Sure. Thanks, Sean. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to my staff that have been working on it at MCV since March. It's been very impressive to have that pretty much fully staffed day in, day out. Really appreciate that. A lot of people may think that we're still just staffing at MCV. That is not the case. Every day it seems like Sean and the team are sending me something else that popped up, or the client asked for coverage, and we're staffing that from the event side. And so we're working parking lots. Now we're occasionally jumping into the residence halls. They just reopened that this weekend for the overnight coverages and everything. And as Sean said, we have consistent shifts available, especially on the weekends. We have a big need right now for the weekends to help out to get people consistently on Saturdays and Sundays. But during the week, we still have availability as well. And I'm working on a document that I can send out so you could send in your availability and we can talk to you about it. But since March, we've kind of we have about 70 to 80 staff that are working in our external programs, and they seem to enjoy it. Week in, week out, send out a schedule, and they're coming right back to it. And definitely appreciate the help. It's very nice to see the same names, and I want to see some more names be added to that list. And that's the purpose of talking about this. And it's a great earning opportunity. While events are slow, as many of the panelists have said, to recoup some of those dollars. And, with 45% of VCU, as Sean said, 45% is a lot of shifts. So there's plenty of availability and plenty of opportunity if you could just reach out to us, or if we get in touch with you. Reach out to me. It'll be chip@rmcevents.com, and I'll be happy to get you some information or some availability of what is available for you to work. And consistency is key, with the sheer amount of things that pop up left and right. So thank you.
Awesome. Patrick, if you can jump in and talk about some of the opportunities in Western. I know a lot of opportunities are going to start coming online here in the next couple of weeks with some unique positions that we're currently not asking for assistance from the event division. If you can talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So right now, if you're in the Western region using StaffMate, you should have been seeing different events between Ambassador Support and Parking Garage at 11th Street. Those are two of our more most common ones that we're requesting help for. So if you're certainly looking for consistent hours during the day, we have those. If you're looking for consistent hours with overnight shifts, we have both of those. Ambassador support hours right now on StaffMate often fall on Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Just an idea of shift times, we're talking about 6:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. We have some shifts from 4 p.m. to midnight, and then our overnight shifts are from 11 o'clock at night to 7 a.m. Certainly, if you're interested, but maybe those hours don't work for you, or you can't do that long of a shift, reach out to myself or Mark, or email us or call us, and we can speak with you about some options there. With the 11th Street Parking Garage, which has been more recently been growing demands for help in that regard, we're starting to see a couple different shift times. Overnights are just starting to take place over this past week. If you've been paying attention to StaffMate, you've been seeing some overnight shifts for the 11th Street Garage. Same things. We're looking at 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Those have not been as common. Probably the most common shift time for the garage help has been from 2 o'clock to 10:30. And those are again occurring more weekly Monday through Sunday, while the ambassador support shifts have been more of a focus on Thursday through Sunday. That said, for the ambassador support ones, we are seeing some during Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays as well. And last thing with StaffMate, with these external shifts, typically when we get these requests from Sean and Dave's team, we put it on a StaffMate, send out an email, a notification that goes out to everybody. A lot of folks will go sign up for it, and that's it. After that first initial email goes out notifying everyone of these available shifts, certainly go back and take a look during the week. Sean and Dave's team add shifts. Somebody might call off on their side, or we might have a call off on our own event side. So shifts reappear and open back up after that initial email. So certainly just like you would when you're checking for regular events on StaffMate, go on and check periodically because we continue to add those as quickly as we receive them from Dave and Sean's team.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick. So just in summary, there's a lot of opportunities. If you were counting on some income for the fall with events happening, you know, it's going to be slim pickings. So please reach out if you want to get some extra hours. We'd love to get you in these programs, get you some additional training, and show you the other side of the business. And for everyone who has helped so far, thank you very much. We couldn't have done it without you guys over the past couple months.
Just as a recap of the options that you have available, I'm about to share my screen. Hopefully you can all see it. Hopefully I did that correctly. Our options for the staff in the Western region for taking part in external. Option A, yeah, as Sean talked about, is a transfer to the external program in a full-time role. As he mentioned, some of the positives of that obviously is a full-time work week and also paid benefits, paid time off, and health and dental insurance. Option B that you can look at, something that we're trying to put together, is an opportunity for you to work a set shift while remaining in the event division. This way you can still work events and you can work regular shifts for the external division. And then the last option is, of course, just to maintain your current status, signing up for events or external shifts through StaffMate with no commitment prior to the actual shift that you select. We'll be sending this document out to everybody in the Western region so they can look at it more closely and then hopefully decide on some opportunities to pick up some hours within our external division.
All right, well, thanks for sharing that, Mark. Sean, anything else as we close out that discussion?
No, I think we're good.
So I want to make it really clear there that visual that was just shared, that is, while it is geared and specific towards the West with regard to some of the pay rates, UVA has an initiative with regard to living wage, which is why they require that pay rate and they pay for it. That's what makes the West a little different in the external field as far as East. But what I want our folks in both markets to understand is this: there is work for you in these regions should you want the hours. And some might say, well, the West just got 3 nice options. You could full-time transfer, you could join a pool and work at least 2 to 3 shifts a week, or you could just continue to do some events and continue to do some external. And is there something like that in the East? Well, as Chip explained, quite frankly, the East had it first. The East, we have had full-time staff members transfer. We have had really, really good members of our event division family transfer and are now working full-time in our Eastern external division. We've had them do it and it's successful. We have also had members of our Eastern event division family join the pool with Chip and become regulars in the East. And they are earning additional hours and dollars working regular shifts. And we have some Eastern event staff folks who are doing a shift every now and then at their leisure. So what we've just seen is the West now matching the opportunities that are available in both markets. Quite simply, if there is a way for us to get you hours or dollars, we're going to do it in this fall season while you're not earning football games. Please know that. If, like Sean said, I think he started this whole conversation out with, if you want hours and dollars, they are there. And we're trying to provide you with these ways for you to see that and get those hours. So anything else external-wise, Sean, are we good? Good? All right, so a couple more questions as we close here. I want to say a question came up about, is the bag check protocol going to change? You know, it might. And we have those sticks that we use sometimes. We might have to use those more. We want to avoid contact as much as possible. I think if you're a member of our staff and you go back to bag checking, I would imagine that is going to be a position where we're going to require that you wear gloves for your protection in touching people's bags. So as you know, when you wear gloves and you touch a bag, you're going to touch the next one. Quite frankly, I can't worry about a gazillion people's protocols. I can worry about yours and your safety. And when we issue you gloves, we want your hands protected as you touch things outside of your own. So I would imagine our bag check protocols as you touch a bag would require gloves. Greg, did we search bags, the kickers? I mean, Sam, you were there. Did we use gloves for our bag checkers, our people in contact with guests?
No, I mean, they really didn't make contact with the guests. They maintained social distancing, and from what I observed, it went really, really well.
Good, and I would anticipate that to continue. Any other questions? So you guys have anything before we close up? BG, you got anything?
No, guys, we just, the event staff, it's a great opportunity for you guys. And we need you because you guys are the best at engaging with the folks, talking to people, looking them in the eye. And everybody that's doing it now is just A caliber folks, and we need some more. So thank you guys for doing that. And Sean and Chip and Greg and Mark and Patrick were great guys to work with on the external side of it. So we appreciate all of you.
All right, go around the room real quick, BG. I'm gonna answer 2 questions on this computer real quick. Go around, see if anybody's got anything.
Patrick, anything else, sir?
Yeah, one thing I know we've spoke a little bit about UVA football, JMU football. Mark might want to hit on the JMU Olympic sports, but I'll touch on the UVA Olympic sports. I've heard from a few folks already this morning after we released some of the football news yesterday, so I figured this would be a good time to hit on that a little more. Short answer, we have not heard anything regarding fall Olympic sports, so we're talking men's and women's soccer, volleyball, and field hockey from the university. So once we do, just like we've been communicating with you all about UVA football and JMU football, an email will come out for myself. We'll update staff mate, and we'll reach out to you all about getting everybody scheduled if and when that time comes. But as of now, there has been no update for Olympic sports.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Mark, do you have anything, sir?
So as Patrick had mentioned, JMU Olympic sports. I was on the phone with JMU Athletic Department today as they released the public statement that their Olympic sports will be suspended for this fall. They are in hopes to play the Olympic sports in the spring of 2021 along with the football program. They're exploring those options, but we were hoping that the Olympic sports would be able to occur this fall, but they made the decision based upon the many things that they have to consider to postpone it till the spring.
Gotcha. Thanks, Mark. Greg, do you have anything from down at the Next Head?
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out again. No, I just want to appreciate everybody coming in and taking the time again it's some great information that goes through here, and we'd like to hear from you, and we're glad to answer any questions. But again, thanks for all of your help right now with events. We're hoping we get some stuff back here pretty soon. And again, if not, for the time being, those external shifts are there. And as we mentioned, you don't have to be full-time. We look for full-time folks, but there's definitely, if you're interested in a couple consistent shifts a week and can commit to 2 days, each day the same every week, we can certainly use you and still fill you in on the event side of things. So it's some great opportunities if you want to work.
Good job, Greg. Thank you, sir. Chip?
No, I'm good. Like Greg said, with external and events, you can do a mix of both. And, I work closely every day with Greg. And, so if there's an event you want to work, but you want to pick up some additional shifts, feel free to reach out to one or both of us, and we'll get you on the schedule.
Chip, great job, brother. Way to take care of business, buddy. Good job.
Thanks, sir.
Sam, anything out there for you?
No, I just want to congratulate you on staying awake past 8:30, so that's a good thing.
Dylan, mute Sam.
And everybody stay well. Call us if you need anything.
Thanks, Sam. Mr. Palkovic, Bob, all good. Sean, thank you for having all these opportunities for everybody. I know everybody appreciates it. What else do you have for us?
I'm good. Just stay well, everyone, in your personal lives, and good luck navigating your personal lives here over the next few months. I know there's a lot of changing daily dynamics, so we're all in it together, and best of luck, and I look forward to seeing a lot of you soon.
We will all get through this, I promise. And I can't wait to high five and hug everybody here whenever this is over with. Dan?
Hey, thank you, everybody. Really quickly, 3 quick questions popped up, and I don't want to leave a question unanswered, so I'm doing really fast. One question was, how do you do your research class without doing the full 18 hours? If you have a license and you're getting ready to expire, our office will reach out to you. If you're expiring soon, call our office and make sure you get a research class. Get the 4-hour research so you don't have to do the 18 again. We offer those. We do them virtually. It's easy. It is simple. Make sure you're contacting HR@rmcevents.com to get that renewal done. Secondly is a good question. If you're willing to work external assignments in Charlottesville from Harrisonburg, there's a question about travel and mileage. Right now, there is no protocol for paying employees to get to one region or the other. We've had those questions asked from somebody in Richmond that wants to work in Charlottesville, or in Charlottesville that wants to work in Richmond. From a Harrisonburg staff member, I would say directly reach out to Patrick, Mark, and Sean, and then make sure they understand the full details of what you're asking. But in exchange for those hours to be available, right now there's not a travel protocol from market to market. I want to make sure we answered that. And then the last question is, I've signed up for 32 hours a week. Is there a way to get the additional 8-hour shift and not be blocked by my max hours? And I would say, I don't know if that's a staff mate thing or a deputy. I don't know what question that is, but I would say this to that staff member, if you're still logged in there, email the account manager in your region. If you're in the West, email Mark or Patrick so they can fully understand what you're talking about. If you said you signed up for 32, it leads me to believe you're already working in the external division. So make sure you copy Jacobson at RMC Events on that so they can answer your question. If you're already working 32 and you want 40, make sure that they understand what you're asking for in the circumstances so they can figure out how to mitigate that for you. I don't know if that's a problem or not, but you just wrote back that it's staff mate. So Mark and Patrick, I know you can see that question. I know you can see the person. So if you can make a note to reach out and figure out how that is, that might be a staff mate thing, blocking 32 or more. Do you have a comment on that, Patrick?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a default in staff made set up at 39 hours per week to protect that 40-hour mark. But I'll certainly reach out to that staff member as well and speak with them.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We have cleared the question queue out. We had over 230 something participants again tonight. So I know we kept you longer than we promised, 20 minutes past our limit, but I can't speak for everybody. I'll sit here till midnight and answer your questions. Great virtually seeing you all. Thanks for spending time with us tonight. I think we answered again over 60 or 70 questions and we spent an hour and a half with you. We miss you. We love you. We'll see you at events soon. And again, if you can do us one favor, tell people about this and email us if it was helpful for you so we know to do it again. We'll see you again, hopefully, doing this again in a week or so. Have a great night. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.